Good evening, my friends. Are you here for another spooky story? Then come on in. Have a drink, a bite to eat, and settle in by the fire. For tonight, I have quite the tale to tell. Are you ready? Good. Then let us begin. When I was very young, say about 7 or 8 years old, I really thought my life was so very boring. Oh, if I had only known then just how different my already abnormally paranormal life already was, I might have been more careful in wishing for a more exciting life. Now, I have many stories, and I quite wonder if, given the chance to glimpse into the future, if my younger self would have made a more careful wish, like having all the cheesecake and sushi she could eat. I suppose I can't quite blame my younger self and her foolish wish. After all, my family just seems to attract the strange and unusual. Either that, or it attracts us. Several of us, myself included, always seem to end up wherever something strange is about to go down. Tonight, I will be bringing you one of my close calls. So gather round and listen well to the little lightning rod. This happened when I was roughly 11 years old. I was at my Papa and Granny's house for this one. Now, Papa really loves to sit out on the porch, either by himself or with his buddies, and watch the lightning as a storm gathers overhead. Most of the women in my immediate family, like my mother and granny, are less enthused by it, and my mother just downright does not like to be in it. When I was younger, this meant that the first crackle of thunder would send our dogs scampering down the road to Granny's to hide under their porch. I suppose they were headed to the lowest ground possible, and that meant my mother and I would usually not be far behind. She mostly passed this off as going to get the dogs, or the old mobile home we used to live in not being safe during a possible tornado, but I suspect now that she had a bit of a phobia of lightning for a while. As for me, I had already seen what happened to cattle that got too close to a barbed wire fence when lightning ran in on it, so I was a bit more wary. However, this day, my mother had me run down to the bar to do something before the skies really let loose. Now, mind you, it had not started to rain just yet. The sky was a very dark gray, but it was lighting up with pink and purple veins. So, I figured I was probably safe, right? As I was heading down to the barn, I suddenly just went deaf. Like all sound cut out. There was only that high-pitched whine that your brain kind of puts in place when you've suddenly had all sound cut off around you. I had heard that your hair will stand on end, you'll feel funny. All of this would happen before the lightning would come. If you went deaf, that was it. You needed to hit the deck because it was coming, and coming down fast. The usual method is to hit the nearest ditch and lay flat, right? Or to go downhill before going prone. Well, I did none of that. Why? Because the closest ditch was a 3-foot drop onto jagged rocks and gunk that had washed down every time it rained, and downhill was a probably 400-year-old plus oak tree and a couple of cherry trees, plus a lot of Papa's scrap metal parts from tractors and such. Instead, my tiny brain does the opposite of what I totally logically would have done, and I take off running back uphill. I slung the bag of pop cans I had been hauling down to the barn and just booked it. I got maybe 4 yards before something told me to just jump. So I lunged. Here I am, leaping out through the air, and suddenly everything is rocking. Everything around me goes from dull and drab to ultraviolet to completely whited out. And right before I literally belly flop onto the yard, all sound comes back. and the loudest, most intense boom of thunder that I have ever heard is crashing down around me. At this point, I'm now sprawled out on the ground, my ears ringing like someone is ringing one of those dinner triangles right by my head. And as the ringing quickly dies away, and I'm easing myself up from the ground, I notice that there's another noise slowly dawning on me. Laughter. I raise up, and there is Papa on the porch, reared back in one of those plastic chairs, just laughing his butt off, like his granddaughter almost getting lightning struck was the funniest show in the world. Well, I get up, dust myself off, realize that it started to pour during my mad dash, and look around to see the damage. You know what was downhill? About the same distance away from where my starting point was? A great big old scorch mark. I'm talking, some of the dirt had glassed over into shiny rock from how intense the lightning that hit it was. And where was my bag of cans, you ask? In that nasty ditch where I still had to fish them out and take them to the barn. So I do that, despite my insanely close call, and I run drenched back to the porch. And just look at Papa, who is now laughing over a drowned rat comparison he made of me. I just fixed him with a glare and asked him why he was laughing when he saw I nearly got struck by lightning. And do you all want to know what he said? He said, "You lived, didn't you?" To be fair to Papa, he probably wouldn't have been laughing if I'd been struck by lightning. After all, he did know a teenager years prior who had died similarly. The kid had been camping out away from a tree that had been struck, but the lightning had actually run out through the roots to the tent that was on them and killed the guy in his sleep. If I hadn't had a healthy dose of respect for lightning before then, I certainly have had afterwards. Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this short little tale. Have you ever had a close call of your own? Feel free to add your experience in the comments before you go. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with all of your friends. If you want to ensure that I can continue to provide you with consistent quality content, then consider pledging $1 to my Patreon page over at patreon.com/phantasmalpoppy. My channel is too small to yet be monetized, and every little bit helps your humble narrator. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. That way you can catch the next video as soon as it comes out. Good night, and see you all real soon.